right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we are off and racing. We have just sped in from Azerbaijan, the beautiful, beautiful, tightly wound, high-paced track, and I wouldn't call it the most amazing race of 2025, but I can tell you what, it has some of the most newsworthy moments of 2025. And today I welcome you to my co-pilot, Evan. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you very much for asking. How are you? You've de facto leader. A big weekend was had.
Yeah, I was over in Fiji celebrating my 40th birthday,
There
pool parties and drinks and
There it
sunshine.
is.
And it turns out I have something in common with Oscar Piastri, which I'll get to in just a moment.
Interesting. Herpes.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. So, we are
That's
a little
libel. We
short
can't
on
include that.
odd members this week, so it's just me and your friend Evan Locke as a two-stop strategy. I guess we could
Two-driver.
call it this week.
We're a two-driver team.
Two-driver strategy, and we are the idiots of F1. Just a couple of, well, usually a little group of friends who love to think they know what they're talking about, but really, like, you know, without even trying, dumb it down. The F1 season, recapping all the races. Today we're recapping the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And geez, some surprising moments, some uncharacteristic moments, and a chase for the title is suddenly on that we didn't think was going to be on a few weeks ago. So what we're going to do today, we're going to launch into some of the F1 news. We're going to maybe mention a few of the notable things of qualifying, and then we're going to go place by place in the top 10 of the race and any other honourable mentions. A little shorter this week because we don't have anyone, so we can't do Huss, you've been paying attention.
So I win by default, is what you're trying to say.
So bonus points for Ev.
I didn't have a buzzer either, so this is good for me on two fronts.
Oh, great. Well, that's a shame. Maybe think of a buzzer, so at least we can give
maybe.
the loyal fans what they came for. All right, let's go. All right, we come to the beep F1 news of the week. Now, Evan, you had some big announcement coming.
Was that
in
you
from
on a
the
telegraph?
corner
You were like,
yeah.
It took me so long to like realize what it was you were trying to do.
Yeah, that. Or Morse code.
Yeah, on the G spot.
Yeah, so I got my big piece of paper. This just in.
I stopped looking at the ticker tape, and it was like the day before the Black Friday or something, and then Mr. Burns is like, "Oh no! Anyway, Simpsons reference.
This isn't exactly breaking news by the time this comes out, but you've got some breaking news about Christian Horner.
Christian has finally settled with Red Bull corporate. He got paid out by around 100 million USD, I think. So maybe 80 million pound. And so the initial reactions were like, this is disgusting, this amount of money. Anyway, no, he's on like a 10-year contract or something, and he was the head of like every department essentially, because he made the castle around himself essentially.
Yeah.
And so it's just taken this long for the lawyers to work out. Well, yeah, he gets paid out by the length of the contract, whatever breach he did by their standards,
and that
wasn't enough.
But now that
to
they've done that,
annul that.
Yeah, so now they've done that. That means he can go and work for whoever he wants now, or is he still is there still an embargo placed upon him?
Yeah,
so he can't work for any other teams?
Usually there is a what they call gardening leave or an embargo to prevent you
gardening leave.
Yeah, he's got a big garden. Christian's got a huge garden,
so plenty of time to fill.
Yeah. So it's either that. I don't know if it's. I really don't know if he has some sort of non-compete disclosure. Given
surely,
there are only two. There are two sharks circling, which is not Corvette. Who is it in America? GM.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's not
Alpine.
Chrysler either.
Yeah, it's still Chrysler, it's not GM.
It's Cadillac. It's the other
Cadillac.
big C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
so whether
funny.
it's... Yeah.
I was just going to say, thinking of gardening leave, who of the drivers do you think is most likely to be a gardener at the ripe old age of, like 25 to 30, 40? Who's going to be the most granddad, grandma gardener of them all? I have an idea.
I like the character growth of Lewis Hamilton, like selling all his cars. and he's like, I just like art. And if you're anybody like, Digby or I, or, someone who can appreciate, who has the skill to appreciate a well-made object d'art, and we use those pieces in our work every day, and so it was like, oh yeah, I can imagine if all you do is go to the Met Gala every year and wear couture clothing, and you're rich enough to be able to get away with doing that. I think that's really exciting for him, instead of just being another like.
What does this have to do with gardening though?
Well, no, because
you mean gardening would be exciting for him. You mean?
Yes, because he's showing character.
It's like the
growth.
fashion. It's the fashion of his house.
Yes,
it's the fashion
like
his
garden,
next door
if
neighbor
you
has
will.
Yeah, I imagine George Russell as a gardener.
No,
Max goes home and gets in the simulator. Russell goes.
No, those are two different things. What George Russell is the housewife. Anybody under 35 will not get this reference. Like all of our references, George Russell is the housewife who is looking out over her sink at the shirtless man. And he pulls out a Diet Coke and like rubs it against his forehead.
Okay, yeah. So that's
and
the
he's
reference
like
that no one's going to
get.
And
George Russell is like trying to cut. Yeah, because they don't do those ads anymore. He's cutting like white roses and then actually cuts the head off the rose because he's not paying attention. There it is. There it is.
I imagine he was the gardener and the housewives were all swooning over him. Little do they know that he's not interested.
No. All right. No, George's just a housewife.
Now, this is not exactly news, and we'll cover it a little more. Well, let's cover it now. We'll get to the details of the race. This is more outside of racing now. Max Verstappen, let's say 3 or 4 weeks ago, was not talked about as someone who was necessarily in contention of the title, despite, it's always like, well, anything can happen. Now,
we even said anything can still happen. This is what bothers me.
Right.
All we ever do is like temper expectations because modern journalism isn't good at tempering expectations. So everybody was so the second that
Oscar won 4 in a row, it was all over.
And you were like, not you, sorry. All the journalists were like, Lando, he's 35 points behind. There's no
right now. This is what I want to kind of get down to, right? So the top 4 are pretty clear. Like George Russell is 4th.
Yeah, he's not.
Even he has the chance, right? There's still a chance that he could win. It's almost not going to happen, but there's a chance. He's on 212. Then we've got Max on 255. Now, that's only 69 points shy of Oscar. So if Oscar was to crash in the next 3 races and Max won them all, he would be ahead by a few points.
Yep.
He's only 44 points behind Lando. Now, the reason that this sounds close, but it's not that close, is that the assumption is that Oscar, Lando, Max will probably be 1, 2, and 3 every race in some sort of combination, which means even if Max won every race, he'd only be gaining by 8 points each time. Now, I think we've only got 6 races left.
Something like that, yeah.
So he would then only be ahead of Lando. So if Max won every race and Lando came second every race and Oscar came third every race, Oscar would still win, but Max would come second. So that's where you kind of get the idea of, okay, that's how hard it is for him to actually win. So you may have seen in the press conference this week, the questions start firing. Oh my God, Max, so do you feel like you're in contention? Do you think Red Bull can do this? And I think Max is so good at controlling his responses with these questions.
Yeah.
And I know Toto's good with it as well.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he said, I mean, it's not a lot of races. I think it's 6 or
Yeah.
7, right? It's like there's a lot of points I have to chase with very few races. So the assumption that I can even contend is pretty overblown. Like, with the position he's in, what's your thoughts on whether he could even potentially get second, regardless of first?
I think that it's what is in modern day football, Arsenal would be like this, where
You love a football reference.
I do love a football reference, where someone is quite is deservedly confident, but only because they've not been challenged all year, and then once like the rubber hits the road, per se, in the final third of the season, and someone by hook or by crook, by good luck or bad luck, suddenly is within spitting distance, and you're just like Lando, is the type of guy who shits himself, and he's very honest about it. Max isn't. Oscar, up until this weekend, throughout his entire career, hasn't made a mistake as bad as he did this weekend.
Yeah, and that's and he was on a 44 consecutive finishing streak
that's
too,
crazy.
which he threw out the window. And I reckon a bit of ego not ego, but a bit of panic got to him a little bit. It's not the right course to kind of panic. I think he rushed, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's like, I think I get what you're saying. It's definitely plausible, and it has happened.
What people aren't talking about is that you can't pass in Singapore. Again, it's a street circuit. It's really hard, just physically, to get two cars side by side to be able to do that. It can happen.
What would be the corners in Singapore? Like, how many? Like, so Azerbaijan has a couple. Monza typically has the one corner at the end of the straight. Everyone, unless you're Oscar Piastri, that's like the only corner you tend to be overtaking on.
Yeah.
Is there more than one or two in Singapore? Or is it just kind of like the one spot?
The last corner coming onto the back straight's a really good one to set up an attack into the first corner. The first corner is where the most amount of again, like in Monza. The last corner, you'll remember last year that Lance Stroll went off at 150G or some crazy amount of speed. Like an irrational amount of speed. Like, nobody's stupid enough to be doing that.
Almost like he has no fear in losing his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got to get his kick somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just defying his father at this point.
Yeah.
So no, there are places. There's the hairpin turn. I don't know what. It's about halfway through the lap. It's a big kind of hairpin. You can do an under what do they call it? Like a loop-de-loo kind of a switchback,
like outside to in. Yeah.
You can do that there, but otherwise it's fairly. It's with DRS. Like, you need 20 kilometers faster than to overtake and.
Yeah, right. So Singapore's basically coming down to qualies, but it can be done. But at the speed we're going of,
and hey,
it's
Max
hard to
qualified first.
Yeah,
if he's first again,
we've got Brazil. I think Brazil will be a telling race now that Max and his Red Bull are starting to get back into speedy positions. I think that's going to be a really defining track as to who the best is, because you can overtake, and it will show the speed of the cars, who's driving well. So unless, we'll know. What I'm saying is, we'll know by then whether McLaren's car's not keeping up with the Red Bull, or they've just had a few bad races.
Yeah, like
Singapore might not tell us that.
It's always really funny to me, all these analysts, and the race has ex-Formula One engineers and things, and they use I forget who owns the race, but they've got a huge budget to spend on analysis, and more often than not, it just comes down.
And all they have to do is tune into the idiots F1. I mean,
all it comes down more than anything, more than whatever upgrade your car has, it's whether or not the driver actually likes that track. So, for example, Lewis loves Silverstone.
Brazil.
He loves Brazil. He loves Silverstone. And he's, no matter how crap the car is, he dominates at those tracks. Same with George and Lando. They're always generally pretty good at Silverstone. Anyway, it'll be really interesting to see if George or Lewis or Charles can throw a cat amongst the pigeons, because
there's still the chance that Oscar and Lando can have a double DNF. That's a very plausible thing that hasn't happened yet, but we can smell and come in
Lando
at some point.
did not capitalize this week.
No, he didn't.
And
we'll talk about that soon.
Maybe, I know we will. Maybe he gets a bit jealous or a bit forthright and thinks there's a gap.
Yep.
Takes them both out. It's very easy.
Oscar gets a bit too defensive. You never know. Well,
Lance
to wrap this up,
took himself out at Brazil last year and then
always,
drove into the gravel.
So, to wrap this up, out of 10, 10 being most likely, 1 being least likely, out of 10, what chances does Max have of winning the championship? How likely do you think it is?
I won't give you a number.
I want a number. I'm asking for a number.
What I will give you is context in that he has gone from 0 to at least non-zero.
I think he's gone to at least 5 or above in 2 races.
Yeah. In like 2 races, he's gone from 0 to not 0, and that says more than any number ever could. Because how gilded this was for McLaren. Well, not McLaren. But
do you know what it was? It was the significant lead that he had in Monza, and the significant lead that he had in Azerbaijan, which we are just about to talk about, and the fact that Norris was nowhere to be seen. Now, if Oscar hadn't crashed, maybe it would have been different. However,
they can't hear me nodding to you. I'm nodding to you.
No, but he was still pretty far back in qualies. Now, I think we better get on to the race. So let's get to the track. All right, let's just have a quick recap. Not much of a recap on qualies. So only real noticeable things here is Ocon got disqualified from qualies, and that sent him to the back of the pack.
He had his wing deflected greater than the allowed millimeter, which is why.
And then we had Leclerc and Piastri crashing during qualifying in Q3, which put them at 9 and 10 for the start. Now, for those of you who don't watch a lot of F1, that makes Azerbaijan very difficult. It's not just that it's hard to overtake, but because the first few corners are incredibly tight, there's always a high risk of crashing, which we'll get to in a minute. We'll get to now because he didn't make the top 20, which is Oscar Piastri. Now, he's starting in the middle of the pack, which is incredibly hard. And I did note before I realized he was stuck, it was a really long light change.
Was it?
There's a random... Yeah, it was a random...
I didn't notice.
There's a random...
Yes.
What's the second difference? So it can be either 0.5 to...
it's like between 1 and 4.5 seconds or something.
Right, so those lights can go green between anything from 1 to 4.5 seconds.
Whatever it is. It's also...
random.
Yeah, it's random, but in the defense of the drivers, it's never usually a long hold. It's always...
Even this isn't that long. This wasn't even that long.
It's always quite a short hold from the red lights.
We had a really short one recently, almost instantly, right? But this week was quite long, and I thought, I took note. I was like, that was a long one.
Oh, really?
Oh, no one false started. That was good. And then suddenly you see that Oscar's at the back of the pack because he, in fact, did false start, which then in turn caused Alonso, who was behind him, to false start. And Oscar had the anti-stall kick in, so then everyone went past him, and he's now at the back of the pack. I think it was about the 5th or 6th turn. He was a bit too eager to get around, and I think because he was in a bit of a rush, he just took over Colapinto or something before that, or Albon, and then the next corner he tried to do exactly the same thing, overcooked it. Locked up the brakes, and he couldn't turn straight into the wall. I think that was the panic setting in.
I like how Alonso, who is beloved elder statesman He's only like 1 year older than Lewis or something, but he's within something like 4 points of winning 8 championships or something. And I love how because the guy in front of you jumpstart. It's like if you've ever, whoever your partner is, if you've made love with someone and that either you or the other person has said, like, keep it together, or like, just like, we're not at the end yet. The fact that someone jump starts, or the fact that somebody introduces that into your head, you're like, oh, it's already too late. The machine is already within motion. We can't. You've tricked the machine.
Where Ev is going with this is that you tend to copy what happens in front of you, because reaction times are a factor in F1. If someone takes a line and it's an incorrect line and they clip a wall, often at times the driver behind them will do exactly the same thing. So in this case, he's got his eyes on Piastri, who's classically great at a start. So it's probably quicker for Alonso just to keep an eye on his car necessarily. And so they both went. So Oscar now has a penalty for his false start. Will that cross over to Singapore?
Yes, it will, because he didn't get to serve it in the race.
Right, so Max has an even bigger chance.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
There you go.
All right, well, that was the talk of the town, and this is where I come to the bit where Oscar and I have something in common. A lot of us will actually. Oscar didn't even go back to the pits. He just sat on the side of the track.
I thought you were going to say premature start.
And watched. And,
they can't see me pulling on my collar.
No, but what he did do, he watched the race on his phone, and that's what I did.
It wasn't his phone. It was somebody else's phone. He doesn't have his phone in his pocket.
I didn't watch.
It's so
the
funny
race on his.
Because
I was like, the race on his phone either.
I thought that if that were me, I would just whip out my phone and start watching it. And like, no, they don't have it in their pockets. He got it from like a marshal,
brilliant, cameraman.
So he can't. Same in Singapore. You can't get back to the pits because it's a city. And so there's no way to actually. So in Singapore, who was it? Why. Vettel, was it Vettel? I think, and no, Carlos Sainz crashed out for Ferrari, and there's footage of him going through the subway.
Yes,
with like his helmet, and it's like, because you've got to catch the metro from that side of the track to get back. There's no other way to do it. You can't just get on the moped like they do at Silverstone, as far as
Canada or whatever.
Yeah. Well, right. How hilarious that is.
Let's get to our top 20. Well, the ones who actually finished the race. For a second race in a row, we have Max Verstappen at number 1 with a whopping 14 seconds ahead of the pack. Now, this, as we mentioned, is the second race he's kind of smashed it. It was what I'd argue to be pretty much a perfect race for him. They chose the right strategy. I noted that he started on the hards and then went to medium. A lot of the drivers actually went from mediums to hards. But I think we could agree, tell me if I'm wrong, that starting with hards and doing the overcut was probably the way to go.
Well, yes, in hindsight. What I will say is
obviously hindsight, because the race is finished. I'm asking.
That took you so long to get my insult. What I will say is that Red Bull famously are terrible in street circuits because of the way that the wash from the back of a car, it has nowhere to go because you've got concrete blocks along each side of the road, and then you got buildings. And so the wash from the car comes out, and then it just kind of like sits and circulates on the track. Yeah. And because... Although in saying that,
we did predict Red Bull would perform well in this, and they have performed very well with all 4 cars in the top 10.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing.
What changed here?
I don't know. Because normally the cars are so twitchy for Red Bull, because that's what Max likes. That's why they suffer all the more in these road circuits. And for whatever reason, Red Bull and the V-Carbs are head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah, because even Tsunoda was in the top 10 this week. Okay, well, I think that everything Max did from his post-race interviews, his strategy that he had, his pit stop was lightning, his driving was perfect, his start was fast. He didn't do a thing wrong and totally earned this. It was vintage.
He was not
Verstappen.
challenged at all.
No, not at all. So we get to second place. My man, George Russell, Gardner. George the Gardner Russell, coming in at second. I thought it was a pretty strong race. He also did the hard to medium strategy. Right. He pitted really late, and it was actually the pit that got him in front of Carlos Sainz. Because Carlos Sainz pitted a lot earlier than he did, and that was kind of where the overcut was presented to be. It was hard to pay attention given how boring the race was. It was boring, but there's a lot of little moments that came about.
Look, we'll get to him, but the mere fact that Oscar Piastri, the kind of champion in waiting, anointed son of champion that he is, and yet Lance Stroll didn't crash out.
No, he didn't.
My boy,
he did not. You'd think this is one of those.
You'd think if anybody was going to.
Yeah. But instead it was Oscar, our boy, which was a bit sad. I mean, it didn't ruin the race for me, but it did take the excitement out a little. But as far as the podium's concerned, speaking of exciting moments, like Russell had a pretty stock standard race. He that overcut was a big deal.
Yep.
He started well. He had to fight a lot at the beginning against Tsunoda. He had to work his way up the pack decently. So I'd say it was he'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Mercedes will feel good to be high up. I mean, the constructors is over. The drivers championship might be a bit iffy now, but surely constructors is definitely over.
Yeah, it bothered me. They were like, "Oh, McLaren could win the constructors if they finish this and that, and if someone else doesn't finish this and that." I'm like, who gives a shit? If they don't win it this week, they win it next week. Like nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No one thinks they're not winning it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the big talking point was actually Carlos Sainz coming in third. That's a big
smooth
Williams
up.
podium.
We can't afford the rights. Smooth operator. That's done. That's all we can afford. We can
smooth operator. Smooth operator. Geez, what a phenomenal drive! It wasn't. He probably should have got second, but unfortunately, I think Mercedes just had the strength over that. He didn't drive badly, but bad choice.
There was I forget who it was. If it was Sauber or someone either won or got on the podium last year, and they didn't have any champagne because either it was like Sauber or Williams or someone like that, and a Haas maybe they didn't have any champagne because they don't bring extra champagne for the podium. If you're never going to be on the podium, you're not going to bring. You're going to spend $1,000 on champagne that you're not going to use. And so all the teams got together and sent them like...
Whoa. Are you saying that the teams have to buy their own champagne for the podium?
Yeah, well, it was within... Well, they didn't... I don't know if they wouldn't pay for it, I'm assuming.
Surely they're not. Surely that's provided by the F1 on the podium.
Yeah,
right?
but if... because they have Ferrari... Which not related to it. Anyway, my point being, they didn't have any for the team to celebrate with because they didn't expect they didn't bring enough
because they I see. So
all the teams got together and gave them their excess, and it was adorable. This week, with Carlos coming third, Toto sent a gift package to.
I saw that.
Yeah, to what's the guy's name? Weirdo. James Vowles. And and it was like a lovely Mercedes thing. It was like, congratulations, I always knew you had it in you. This is the first of like very many. And it was
I think we can agree with that.
Yeah, hopefully. Champagne and like a couple of other things that were like, and like he would have had to send his assistant out to go and do that.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been in, well, we're in the entertainment industry. It's really, you can only send your assistant out to do one thing at a time because it's just a one person thing. And so it was like really adorable because he got like 5 or 6 things. It's like, he would have had to send every assistant off to the whole team to get put this gift package together.
Unless he's got like the best assistant in the world.
Oh, he might do. He can afford the best.
He could afford it. Well, I did note qualies. They were kind of bookending the grid. So Sainz was right up the top, second on the grid,
And who was right down the bottom?
Albon, obviously, because he had a little mistake during qualies, which would have really, I reckon he would have been devastated at that, because Albon's been often the better performing Williams.
Yeah, very much so.
So seeing Sainz up at second, he must be thinking, "Oh, that could have been me," that could have been, or 2 and 3, So I think Albon will be ruining this race. Because he ended up only where was he, 13th, and he was at the back of the pack. So that was still an awesome effort from him. But yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity.
Surely. As much as it was a missed opportunity for his mother to sell another fake Hermes bag.
Exactly, yeah, which she'll never be able to do again. And so number 4 off the podium now, another Mercedes driver, someone I didn't really note to do much at all in this race was Antonelli. Did you have any notes on Antonelli? Because I didn't really see him.
I don't think anybody in the world has any notes on Antonelli, other than the fact that by all accounts he's driving for his contract next year.
Job. Yeah, and we still lost to Russell. Like, it's great that he came 4th, but
it's really good that he came 4th.
Yeah, but still, but he was. I mean, it was just a bit of a non-event, really. I'm pretty sure he needs to start kind of either getting up right with George or beating George.
Yeah, like with any sort of anybody in any job, if you're good when the pressure isn't on and you get a promotion, or you get, you see someone get promoted over you when they've never been challenged in this race. Like, he wasn't challenged and all he did was like drive a go-kart around and didn't crash. That was his accomplishment. That's not the same thing as doing well.
Yeah. Well, he at least that's something. It's like special achievement award, encouragement award for him. 4th place. Well done, Antonelli.
There you go.
We needed that. Coming in at 5th, a notable finish from Liam Lawson. Now, I did note that most of the exciting stuff, at least at the beginning of the race, were the 2 Ferraris, because they were having a little race with Norris and Hadjar. But towards the end, it felt like Lawson. We'll join them together. Lawson and Tsunoda, who were, they finished real close together. They're only 6/100ths or 6/10ths difference. They were fighting constantly towards the end, and it was a really exciting battle.
They again, not to beleaguer the point here, but anybody under 35 won't get this reference. When George and Jerry are like slap fighting each other.
Yes.
That's what Lawson and Tsunoda was for me. And always will be.
They didn't crash.
Yeah.
They didn't crash.
Well, that's true.
That was really, really good effort. I thought it was great that Tsunoda was finally in a competitive position. Still 33 seconds behind Max, but I don't think we can complain. Another driver driving for his job. Lawson also arguably driving for his job.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw his pit exit, but he was all over the place. So this was this
was
a
him that they
spot.
were like, they cut to someone leaving the pits and they were like fishtailing the whole way out.
That was George. George
he nearly went over the line
pits and flew out of the pits. Yeah,
right.
But when Lawson came out, that's when he took over Antonelli. So he came out in front of Antonelli, and I don't know if you remember it, but he wasn't fishtailing. He was just swerving, like he was trying to heat up the tires real fast. And I was kind of like, that's borderline illegal. You can't. Yeah. That's like a quadruple movement. And can you just quickly explain the rule of the movement before a turn for a takeover?
Yeah. So because of Max, because Max was the one who did this. You're not allowed to move within the braking zone. The braking zone is like 50 to 100 meters from the corner. And
see.
Before that, you're not allowed to. I think you're only allowed to make 1 or maybe 2 movements. So, for example, where this happened at Azerbaijan was one of the only DRS zones. So you're only allowed to like block and then like block again
Yeah.
And then you have to let the
And
other
then that's
guy
it.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
admittedly, it's very neutered and shitty. This is racing in like inverted commas.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was doing it constantly. Like he was just like blocking.
Yeah, I mean, could we argue that he
And that's-
wasn't in the braking zone yet?
No, but it's still dangerous because at
You
these
still can't do that.
speeds, yeah, the reaction time you need, and because the cars are so big, and they're not very they don't kind of twitch. They're just a big whale of a car relative to what they used to be.
I mean, you could argue that he was warming up his tires, but you
Yeah,
shouldn't
no.
be warming up your tires.
Yeah, but you can't do
10
that
meters in front of the other car.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I for one,
Just ask
maybe
Seb
Tsunoda-
Vettel, who brake checked
maybe-
Lewis at
Yeah.
Azerbaijan like 5 years ago.
Maybe
whatever it was.
Sonoda just didn't overtake Lawson because he would rather just finish the race. Because watching Lawson drive, it would be terrifying. It was like Stroll. You just never know where he's going to turn.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, look, here's a nice path.
If
I don't know,
you're,
we're just swerving.
you played rugby at a
He's
decent
Liam Lawson.
level. I've played football
Yeah.
at a decent level. You read a game. That's what differentiates the good players from the better players. And then you come up against someone who's so stronger than you that you're
Just
like,
athleticism.
yeah, and you can't. They're not smart enough to read the game.
No,
And so
they don't
that's
need
quite,
to.
it's quite, but it's quite dangerous to everyone else around them.
Well, that's actually why I chose to play rugby. When I say chose to play at
No.
a high level, I went and trained with a much higher level team than I probably deserved to. But I wanted, at my age where I thought I was old, I was 29.
Yeah.
This is 11 years ago. I wanted to train with people who actually took the rules seriously, and there was much less chance of me getting hurt.
Yeah.
But in turn, made me a much better player because you're
Yes.
training with very good, and
Absolutely.
you're learning from the best. Actually, makes you a very good player. But what I found was a lot of those players are there due to athleticism, not to smarts. Now, that's
Correct.
not to say that they don't play safely. They're there because they don't need to read where the gap is. They can just plow through the gap. Which is kind of what Liam Lawson
Lance
does.
isn't going to get fired. So
Yeah, exactly.
he's playing a different game to every other driver. It's not
we've
his
got,
fault. I'm
coming-
not blaming it. Like we adore him.
No,
for
we'd all
being
do it.
the
We'd
bimbo,
all-
the
yeah.
himbo that he is.
Yeah.
I'm not talking down on him. Not that he listens, not listening to us, but anyway.
Well, number 7 and 8, we got the double Brits. We got Lando Norris at 7th, who really fucked up this race, and Lewis Hamilton at 8th. Now let's talk about Norris briefly. He had every opportunity to really cash in on Piastri's.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard track to
his-
take over on, but
Of course it is. It is a hard track.
But you still
Russell
would have
went from,
expected
it's
him-
like 6th to 2nd.
But
So
you
someone at
still
Norris's
expected him.
quote unquote level. You expect him to be able to do something with Tsunoda and Lawson. But you could also blame his classic pit stop. Now, can you remember how long his pit stop
Ooh.
was?
fuck, I can't. I know it was long.
It's Monza all over again.
Yeah, and it was the same. Wasn't it the same tire? Front left or something?
Yeah, and it was 4.1 seconds, same tyre. And I just thought to myself, what a shame that they can't call Red Bull and go, look, Yuki, Norris had a bad pit stop. If you could just give that position back, mate, that would...
Why didn't they be like, Lando, Oscar's crashed out. If you could just crash out, that'd be great.
Yeah. Where could you just do me a favor? Thanks, mate. It would be unfair if Oscar had to watch. So if you could go sit on the side and watch the race too, that'd be great.
I'd love how arrogant it is that you assume your drivers are so far ahead that they can just throw away
Yeah.
entire
That
races.
would be the ultimate.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
There was a time
I'd pay to see that.
Lewis and George came first and second at Monza years ago, and they used to do this. They don't kind of do it anymore, but teams used to do this where if you finished 1-2, you would do in your down lap, in your after the race, you would do it in formation. In all serious, this is very deadly serious because it was like a huge point of pride for the old school teams that they would like Nigel Mansell and they would all be like in formation, and it's great for photography. And so I would love to see that, but the McLaren, like, instead of formation winning, formation losing, because they're so ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, someone who hasn't seen a win, but I guess it was kind of like a formation, is Hamilton at 8th and Leclerc at 9th. Now, I thought this was great. I was like, oh, Hamilton beat Leclerc this week, and I completely forgot until you told me.
Yeah. So they swapped positions. Lewis was on a different tyre strategy to Charles. They swapped positions so that Lewis could attack. Was it Lawson that was ahead of them? Who did we just say? I'm not even paying attention to my own person. He was there to attack, and then he got the call, I think in the last lap or something, to swap back. And he didn't. And what was really... I wasn't paying attention because the race was so boring. But I remember watching the cars cross the finish line, and Lewis was like free pedaling. Like, he was just like, he wasn't driving. He took his foot off the gas. And I was like, that's super dangerous because everybody's like a bull in a chart, like just going straight for the finish line. I was like, it's super dangerous for someone to do that. The only time it does happen is if someone's car's about to blow up and they have to pull over to the side.
Yeah.
I was like, why is Lewis doing that? And then, yes, of course, he was supposed to let Charles through.
So was that his poor attempt to let Charles through?
He had said that he was in such... he was very honest, and, well, I'm sympathetic, but he said that... the team call was absolutely right. I was supposed to swap, but I was in such a mindset that I was, still optimistic that I was going to attack in the last corner or something. Like, I was, and that is a racing mentality. But it is
full of shit. If you ask me.
Yes. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but you're absolutely right.
Your ego's going to get the better. It's like
that's
one chance.
That's
to take
right.
it. And it's like, but you know what? So he should. Like, fuck team orders. Fuck giving your places back.
No, but it was a team order that he got put in front of Charles.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah. Okay, well then...
Nobody wants to be second at the orgy. That's all I want to say.
Leclerc, with a bad quality, didn't really improve. And what we just talked about, sees him at 9th. Pretty forgettable week. Pretty forgettable year for Ferrari. I don't foresee anything changing.
Charles gets to be like not only adorable, but a beautiful man as well. Like, buddy, you can finish last. It's fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. You're still gonna be fine. Your parents live in Monaco.
You've got like a hand deck of a Rolodex of supermodels who are desperate to have a one night stand with you. You'll be fine.
Brilliant. Because that's obviously all he wants. Coming in 5, wrapping up the top 10, we have Isaac Hadjar. I guess the only thing notable for me here was that all 4 Red Bulls in the top 10. Yeah, he had a lot of really fighting to do throughout the race, so I thought it was pretty epic that he didn't damage. He didn't damage any. He didn't do anything stupid. It was a lot of pressure on what he was doing. So good on him. I was pretty impressed all in all, which I'll get to now. With the bottom 10, we got Bortoletto, Behrman, Albon, who got a penalty for taking a corner that didn't exist. I think that was on Bortoletto. And he tried to back out very last minute, but it was too late. He has now been hit. And then he got hit with a 10-second penalty.
That's like, when if your partner, like, surreptitiously thinks to throw in some portobello mushroom into a meal. and it's like, it's too late and you've ruined it. Nobody likes mushrooms. Don't put them in there. Portobello, buddy. That corner wasn't there for you. This was a mistake.
Then we got Ocon at 14. Alonso with his false start also got penalised for that, coming in at 15th. Hulkenberg, again, he's had his ups and downs. Not a good weekend for him. 16. Stroll watch was the last racer not to be lapped. So I want to send my huge congratulations and a bundle of roses to Lance Stroll. You didn't get lapped this week, buddy. Well done.
That's a good thing.
16 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg. And then Gasly lapped, Colapinto lapped. That guy is just useless. I hope he's not back next year.
How many
And
races
then
did what's his face get? Did Jack Doohan get?
4?
4 races.
Maybe not even. So yeah, that was a great decision by Alpine. That clearly, I think. Well, but to be fair, both cars got lapped, so maybe it was the car.
But you look at Hadjar, who has kept going from strength to strength, and you're like at least somebody deserves the opportunity to do that.
But what I mean is that, like, if Gasly was coming in at 11th or 12th or even 15th, you'd be like, okay, maybe it's Colapinto, but obviously the car's made of cardboard. You know, it's not. It's a soapbox derby racer, not an F1 car.
The driver is essentially ballast, is what you're trying to say at this point.
Well,
again, nobody under 35 gets that reference. That's 3 times.
That wraps
this
up the
episode.
race for the week. Was there anything in particular you took out of this week's race that we haven't covered?
Yeah, one thing.
Something I may not have noticed.
One thing that bothers me in a weird way is that Melbourne renewed their contract, I think last year, maybe, or the year before, and then people in the opposition are up in arms at the cost that Melbourne has, because it costs something like 20 million a year for the city.
Like opposition just fighting for the sake of it.
It's something like 20 million a year to put the race on. So that means you've got to repaint the lines, you've got to put up all the grandstands, you've got to put together all the contracts for food and beverage, you've got to put together security, you've got to put together infrastructure for, what is it, 150,000 people over 3 days or something?
Yeah.
Right, so it's about 20 million, and then you reap the profit. Hopefully you're getting a profit out of that. And then it's also a really great advertisement. Come to Melbourne, come to England, Silverstone, go to Las Vegas, whatever. This, and they've been at Azerbaijan for a long time, and usually it's a great race. But this week, they only once cut to a big wide-angle camera that showed the water.
Shot of how beautiful Azerbaijan is.
And it's fucking beautiful. And
I
it's
actually really want to check it out.
Oh, I know. But then the racing was so dire. And you're like, we've just spent 20 million and we're not going to get that back because you haven't shown it as a glamorous, exciting place to go.
In saying that though, even though they didn't do that, I still look at that place and think, God, that must be a beautiful city. You get glimpses of the buildings.
Yeah.
Like that pink building that's on like the second and third last corner. They come around and it's like that really pink old school building. That looks, I don't know if that's a hotel or whatever. Yeah, I always noticed that with Azerbaijan.
This was the first time they in Azerbaijan.
Because they often like to do pre-race stuff and go, the drivers came out this week and did wine tasting, whatever they do that isn't drinking.
They
related.
had the national anthem before the race. Do it every race, and they cut to I mentioned this in the group chat. They were like Carlos Sainz and Colapinto or whoever it was were like giggling because it was so, which is often the case with like Eastern European countries. Their national anthems are incredibly boisterous, maybe, to be polite.
Yeah.
Because it's often a very strong influence from USSR, Russia, and and so it's always this weird. It's very weird and disjointed, and it doesn't speak to like Western European.
But in their defense, like they often have to sit through some of the weirdest anthem performances. Like let's never forget.
You're absolutely right.
Forget Silverstone with what's his name? Damian Lewis doing scat jazz
Damian Lewis.
You know that Simpsons episode, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Cat, how I... just this like freestyle jazz number. And that's what that sounded like. And
at Vegas, they get Leonard Nimoy. Or...
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like...
No, you're right.
I reckon they just... I wouldn't put it on them and say it's just because maybe we think that because we're so out of touch from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll leave it there. And next race, we've got Singapore coming up. Tay's favourite race. So really hope Tay is back for that one. Hold on. That will be on the 5th of October. So we've got the weekend off this weekend.
Yes, next week.
And then we're back at Marina Bay Street Circuit. So, yeah, until then, guys, we will see you later. Thanks, Ev, for joining me. That was a short but sweet episode. And we'll see you next time.